Hi guys, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda, and today we are harvesting potatoes. You guys went along with me in this journey of planting these potatoes. These were ones that I bought from the grocery store. They weren't organic, so I really do not know how well these did. It's kind of an experiment. We're gonna see what kind of potatoes we get. When I planted them, they were little yellow Yukon Gold potatoes, and I think I had a few red potatoes. So as you can see, this one is dying back. It's not completely died back. But we also have these two other pots, and these guys are completely dry and died back, as you can see. And we're gonna go ahead and test out to see how well these fabric containers did. They do have this little nifty pocket on the side of them that lets you open up and harvest from the bottom. I may end up just completely emptying out the bags, so I'm not really sure how well that little pocket's gonna do or work for us, but we're gonna see. My sister actually had sent me a link just a few days ago that there are people who overwinter potatoes, and I thought this was really interesting. I don't really have any seed potatoes right now that I could pop in the ground, and I kind of want to plan a little more before I just kind of throw something in the ground. Next year I'm hoping to plant a whole bunch of potatoes, more than I did this year, just so I can get a bigger harvest. I'm thinking about using a compost bed I have over to my side here, and do a Ruth Stout method. This is just a method where you lay, it's like kind of like a lazy gardener's method. So it's kind of like a lazy gardener's method. Basically you have hay or straw or dried leaves, and you plant your potatoes in pockets in this and then cover them. And then as your potatoes begin to sprout, you cover them more, and you just kind of keep doing this until you're done. So I think I'm going to do that method next year on a larger scale, just because I did plant my potatoes in pots this season. So with the link that my sister sent me about the person who was planting potatoes to be overwintered, they were growing in zones 5 or 6, I believe. So in those lower zones here in the US, they have a way shorter growing season. My growing season this year was 175 days, just about, and I was able to plant 2 successions of potatoes. So if I were to do the overwintered potatoes, I think I'd be able to squeeze in 3 successions of potatoes. It's definitely something that I'm going to think about trying next season. So if you guys have any tips for mosquitoes that is organic, let me know. I've been battling mosquitoes so badly this season, and it's just horrible. I think it's mostly because my back half of my garden is woods, but they're just everywhere, and it makes coming out into the garden so unenjoyable. I get eaten up and it's so itchy. But let's go ahead and start harvesting these potatoes and see if this experiment was a fail or if it worked. In the future I probably will be purchasing seed potatoes from a company. I think I found a company called Irish Eyes that I'm going to be looking into. And I apologize for the noise. I think one of my neighbors is doing some construction outside, so sorry. So I'm going to start with this guy here. We're just going to see what happens. I'm just going to put this in a kiddie pool so that I can kind of save the soil that I use. So these guys were planted 2 months ago is when we planted these out together. Looking like a lot of little baby potatoes. Okay, I don't like this. I'm just gonna pour the dirt out. and my boyfriend did a guess on how many potatoes we would get just the other day, and I wrote it down. So my boyfriend guessed 33 potatoes and I guessed 52. So we'll see who got closer. Right now it's looking like I might beat him just because these guys are just so little. So there's the seed potato. He is super gross. Alright, I think that is all of them from the first pouch. Oh, one more. So I would say that this was a success. Even if I get nothing out of these last two pouches, that first pouch had pretty many potatoes. I mean, they're pretty small, but they're new potatoes, so the little baby Yukon fingerling type. Alright, this is how many potatoes we have so far from our first two. Alright, we have just one more potato bag to go. I'm going to go ahead and rip off the stalks. Ooh, and we got our red potato. So here I have switched over to using this box to pour my soil into, just because my kiddie pool was full of soil and I figured it was going to be a lot harder to try to sift through all of the soil. So instead I'm using this box to go ahead and pour portions of the soil into, and then just kind of emptying it as it gets full into the kiddie pool after picking out all of the potatoes that I find. As I'm sifting through these potatoes, I'm going ahead and actually removing the stems and roots that are still attached to these, just so it's a little bit easier of a cleanup job. A lot of these I will be curing in my basement to store for later. Those are going to be the larger potatoes, but the smaller potatoes I'm going to actually go ahead and wash up and then use for dinner. So in our little bet, I would say that I beat my boyfriend in how many potatoes we would get. I'm not going to count these, because a lot of them are, you know, itty bitty, and I don't know that I would really consider this a potato. I'm probably gonna go ahead and cook up the really small ones with dinner tonight. We're doing steak, so a side of potato sounds perfect. Again, I mean, for what it's worth, using store-bought potatoes, you can do it. Obviously, I did grow potatoes from store-bought non-organic potatoes, just because it was what I had. But again, I'm going to go ahead next season and buy organic seed potatoes from a company, and try to get an even larger potato harvest. Maybe I'll try some russet potatoes, just so I can do more of like a baked potato type thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with this. It's a good amount of potatoes. Yeah, so for the larger potatoes, I probably will go ahead and cure them in my basement, just so that we have potatoes on hand. I think there are plenty of the really small ones that they'll be good enough with dinner. I'll probably just put them in a baking sheet with my herb-infused olive oil that I made and roast them for as long as it takes, with some onion maybe and bell pepper. Spice it up a little bit. But Thanks for coming along with me, guys. Until next time, bye.